for introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. As you may see, I will talk today about ecosystem-based adaptation and climate change and urban greens and blue infrastructure in this regard. So we start with climate change, ecosystems, their services, then move to the ecosystem-based adaptation, and talk a little bit about also role of green and blue infrastructure in prevention climate change impacts. Okay, probably you are not hesitating about that climate change is real and happening right now, and these nice climate change stripes would confirm this statement developed in the University of Lviv. Probably you have seen it before at some presentations or conferences. And if you are not familiar with Lviv situated, it's the western part of Ukraine, and climate change is also happening right now in Lviv. And here on the slide is the main manifestation of climate change in our city. It's of course increase of mean annual temperature, substantial increase in precipitation, and also increase in duration and frequency of dry periods, and also heavy rainfalls. It's very, especially the last one is very remarkable in comparison to other places within the forest zone in Ukraine. And now a little bit about ecosystem services. So it's all the benefits we receive from the nature, and it helps us to be healthy, to support our livelihood, and even survive as a species. The most healthy ecosystems are the more potential they have to provide us with different ecosystem services. And the problem is that sometimes people perceive the certain ecosystem services only and underestimate the others, which cannot be often evaluated in the financial dimension. And always we have questions during the decision-making process, how to manage our space and which ecosystem services should be evaluated more and which should be in some way neglected. Probably you know the general classification system of ecosystem services. And what is important thing I would like to stress that the more natural and more diverse ecosystem is, the more variety of ecosystem services it can provide for us. And it also relates to climate related or climate regulative ecosystem services. As previous presenter today already said, that we have two possible way of combating climate change. It's mitigation, like decreasing our carbon footprint and a greenhouse gas emission, and also adaptation, which means adjusting to present or projected in a future climate change and its adverse effects. The main goal of adaptation in general is reduction of our vulnerability, and not only our as a people, but also vulnerability of natural ecosystems, and increasing their resilience to climate change. And in this regard, group of regulating ecosystem services got more attention from the politicians and decision makers. By applying its natural features and processes, ecosystem can mitigate the adverse impact of climate change. And the climate change is directly related to sustainable development goals and the life in our cities as well. Now I would like to stop on one important and well-known initiative which was launched by European Union Commission to support local governments in their way to climate change mitigation and adaptation. And first it was about only energy efficiency and mitigation. Then the Adaptation Initiative emerged. After that, they were linked together in one, and now it's a global initiative of the cities around different continents. But if we look at adaptation commitments of local governments, local communities in Ukraine, we found only 5 communities which took this voluntary obligation related to adaptation, and it's less than 3% of entire participants of this government of mayor from Ukraine. It's not really too much. Now we move to the second block about ecosystem-based adaptation. So not the first, but the most well-known and frequently cited definition of ecosystem-based adaptation comes from Convention on Biological Diversity. And it talks that it's using biodiversity and ecosystem services as a part of overall adaptation strategy, which help both people and nature in combating adverse climate change effects. EBA maintains and increase resilience and reduce vulnerabilities of both ecosystem and people. And in it includes 3 main line of actions: sustainable management of well-functioning ecosystem, conservation of natural ecosystem, and restoration of ecosystem which were degraded. EBA approach, it's a nature-based solution that generates what is the most important: multiple benefits for environment, for people, and for economy also. And especially it is important for community and local people. And EBA approach acknowledge usage of traditional knowledge and often is implemented with participatory approach. Now, if you look at the different global environmental policy documents, you will find stresses on the importance of ecosystem-based adaptation or viable natural ecosystem, nature-based solution, and so on. And the last one also relates to the commitment on ecological and resilient cities. If we look at the place of ecosystem-based adaptation in this DSIPR cycle, we will see that EBA not only supports providing ecosystem services by improving the state of ecosystem, but it also has positive impact directly on climate change by reducing carbon emissions. And of course, there are other adaptation options which could be shown as a continuum from pro-EBA options to the solely infrastructure-based, engineered, or gray. Also, there is hybrid option, which lays in between. And we also have like soft options, which deals mostly with knowledge, awareness, information, policy, planning, and so on. And if you look at this interesting graph, which try to explain the effectiveness and affordability of ecosystem adaptation, we see that it's quite affordable, and sometimes it's the same work at the same performance as the engineered one. But if we take into account that it has also it creates other benefits, and it's not focused on only climate change, it looks even better. Are there any EBA projects in UAE, in Ukraine? At the present moment, yes, the answer yes, it is. Now I am involved in one of such projects, which works within 3 biosphere reserve in Ukraine, and we try to integrate EBA approach into regional and local land use planning and practice by increasing knowledge, by development capacities, and working out policy proposals. And there are also other projects which has been launched recently, which works more on political level, trying to bring the EBA, not only adaptation topic, to the highest political agenda and to change the present state of different stakeholders. And now about green and blue infrastructure and its relation to climate change adaptation. If you look at the historical perspective, first, urban green spaces often served for leisure or recreation. Also, it was some sign of the prosperity and well-being of certain person or the city in general. Also, it was focused on meeting aesthetic demands and other cultural ecosystem services of the citizen. But with rapid development of industry and transport in the cities, the focus was shifted to the urban hygiene and ensuring healthy living condition, like providing ventilation, cleaning the air, buffering some adverse impacts of the industry, production oxygen, and so on. But sometimes designers or landscape urban designers or landscape planners pay particular attention to the natural places instead of creating the new urban green areas. And striking example of such landscape architects, Jan McCark, with his famous work Design with Nature. And from the end of the 20th century and in 21st, some changes has happened to the understanding the role of green elements in urban environment. So we, both designers and customers started to pay more attention on sustainable design, close to nature design, design which is inspired by nature. Also, cities try to restore degraded ecosystems or preserve existing or well-functioning one by unsealing, restoration of natural flow, or even opening part of buried rivers. Unfortunately, it has not happened so far in Lviv with Poltva River. And introduction or considering the informal forms of green in the cities, like urban agriculture, rain gardens, green roofs, and just conventional lawns or flower beds. More value has given to the natural diversity and wildness in the urban greens, and also it reflects some shift of paradigm from conquering and justing of nature to conservation and restoration by using its natural feature also for climate change adaptation and mitigation, which is, as you might know, is nature-based solution. As IUCN showed in its standard for NBS, it has meet 8 criteria, which goes far beyond only climate change, but positively influence biodiversity, take into account different needs and balance the interest between stakeholders, take into account local conditions, in promoting inclusive government by involving different stakeholders, and so on. And NBS is based on green or blue infrastructure, which is quite relatively new concept, which take into account different form of urban greens, which you can see on this nice picture. And European Commission even adopted the separate strategy for development of green infrastructure in Europe, which of course is in line with the climate change adaptation strategy, but stressing on delivering of wide range of ecosystem services by this green and blue infrastructure. Which is what is the main challenges for the cities in the time of climate change? It's urban heat island effect, which amplifies the heat waves impact. It's flash floods or urban flash floods. It's natural hazards which are hardly predictable, and it's also indirect manifestation as biodiversity change or even loss. You probably know why the urban heat island effect exists, because of altering a natural ecosystem with human activities, creating buildings, sealing the surface. And it's clear that the more sealed, more densely built up the area you have, the higher temperature of surface and above surface air temperature you will have. But if you are talking about combating or trying to mitigate this urban heat island effect, what is the effectiveness of green infrastructure? Recent research which were conducted in Wrocław, Poland, which has quite similar environmental and climate conditions to Lviv, showed that the cooling distance could reach even 1 kilometer during the hottest period, and up to 700 hectares of area around the park or other big green area could be cooled naturally. And surprisingly, that the size is not the only and even the most important factor which determines this cooling effect. Also, the type of land use pattern, building, and their density is in the vicinity is quite important things which control this cooling effect. The other thing is the change of surface runoff, which leads to the increasing a decrease in infiltration and increase in surface runoff, and which cause the presence of urban flash floods during the heavy rainfall events. And City of Philadelphia showed that the using of green and blue infrastructure for mitigating the consequences of these heavy rainfalls instead of development of drainage infrastructure is 3 times more efficient, besides the greens delivering other ecosystem services. So it's an example of urban flash floods from Lviv. It's almost city downtown, and the answer for or one of the possible solution could be the sponge city concept, which implies development of local and especially natural retention facilities for water, and trying to keep water at the place it falls down, and if it is a excess of water, then only to drain it out. It's a guidelines from City Council of London how to prevent flash floods, and which green structure are the most efficient in preventing urban flash floods. And as you can see, the more diverse, the more natural green area are, the most potential it has. Some example from Germany, when the building works together with this lawn in front of it, which serves as a retention, natural retention for rainwater, and during the water goes down through this green facade. It in addition can poo and feed the plants and cool down in the hot days as the building, and make the staying inside more comfortable. Informal green areas, it's the very important thing which is often omitted or neglected, because no one care in the city about them. No one know exactly how much and where they are, but they are also working the same and providing the same and amount and variety of ecosystem services, and in terms of climate change adaptation, also as official parks or small parks which are financed through the local governments. And it's one of the example, like grass on the tram line, which does not belong to any category of protection areas or official urban green. And if you look at this example from Lviv, in deep blue color, you can see like formal or officially recognized green areas, and this is greenish one, you can see unofficial green areas. Some example of change in water system in Lviv. We had a lot of ponds created at the places of former wetlands or bogs within the city, but then it became small fountains, and it's close to the place which you can see saw on the previous photo with urban flash floods. And that's why one idea came to restore this beautiful pond and create more water, bring more water to the city back, and also use it as a retention reservoir in case of urban flash floods. Also, we have some projects in Lviv realize it and propose it in terms of development of these small retention forms like rain gardens. It's example from Portland and Wrocław, which show how the rainwater could be used to support the development of green areas, and at the same time to reduce usage and necessary in development of centralized drainage system. Also in Lviv we have already some example of applying green parking slots, which also decrease centralized water drainage, and some informal greens as on the individual house facade. And even some developers started to think about more greens in the back, in the inner yards of their apartment blocks and even on the roofs. But it's so far it's rather exceptions than the rule and good practice which are widely replicated. And if we briefly touch the issue of biodiversity loss, projected climate change can substantially alter our forest and parks because of changing of suitability condition for our native species like oak, and making the environment more suitable for invasive species like Rubinia pseudoacacia. And some conclusions and as a researcher and also the local authorities in the cities should consider and preserve any type of green or blue spaces, as it formal or informal. Try to decrease sealing and develop decentralized water retention facilities throughout the city. Also, stick to the application of other pure or hybrid EBA measures, because it's more sustainable and provide multiple benefits. And in addition, EBA also serves as a carbon sink, because the green or greens or wetlands is a natural carbon sink and keeps carbon stored in them. So it's all from my side. Thank you for attention, and I'm happy to answer your question.